was the final play of the game. And it happened that there was a crazy quarterback in this particular game that proceeded to run around with the football in the closing seconds of the game. And I always thought over the years that I wondered if that crazy quarterback realized how dangerous he was dappling with Kennedy's fate that day. I'm assuming he knew, but I understand it was a joyous occasion, and so that was the one thing that really stood out in my mind. It was a celebratory thing, and it was also kind of a dangerous thing. I thought that you get tackled in the end zone, you fumble the ball, it's a different outcome, and how close that came. The aforementioned quarterback remains anonymous.
We would like your cooperation in remaining off the field and removing yourselves as quickly as possible. Football double hitter, and as the 250 people in attendance, we appreciate your attendance very much. We remind you that there are more section championships coming up. We return to the Coliseum at the beginning of the wrestling championship, March 1st and 2nd, February 22nd, 23rd at Sonoma State. We would like you to clear the field so you can make the presentation of the trophy to Kennedy High School. We appreciate your assistance, friends, so you can make presentations to these two fine teams.
Number 1, Mario number 24, Isaac number 51. Eagles! All right!
The West Coast Texas 3A football champion.
After the game was the biggest thing because our bus broke and we didn't have any transportation back. So I had to walk over the little bridge and go to the BART station guy and say, look, I've got like 50 players here. We're in football uniforms. Can I just give you like $50 to get us all on BART so we can get our way back to Richmond? And they allowed us on BART. And I mean, that was like the good news. The bad news was that every time on the way back home that the BART pulled into a station, we threw people off the BART train. The players wanted it to be their BART ride home, and so we were throwing old ladies and people with their shopping bags, and everybody was getting thrown out of the BART station, so we had our own BART ride back home. And then we got back and we started walking down Cutting Boulevard, and people were coming out of their houses because they heard all this noise, and it was like the Pied Piper. We were leading all these people right down Cutting Boulevard onto campus. And then I can remember being in the coach's office with school board members and administrators, and there was parties going on out in the parking lot. And when I came back to school on Monday, the parking lot was such a mess that they made me take my first and second period class outside and clean up all the bottles of alcohol and other devices that people use that were on the ground. But you know, it was all worth it. But you know, I don't know how many people get to go through that experience, but it was pretty fun.
For the most part, man, that was an awesome feeling. I think for the community, it kind of dispelled the myth for a while in terms of counting us as young men of color, young minority students for the most part. It counted us out, even academically.
But you know, I think it was great for the community. You know, I don't think high school sports will never be what it was back, you know, in the mid to late 80s. I don't think it ever reached that plateau again.
I mean, it was a really special time in high school sports, I thought, and I was, you know, fortunate to be part of it. I felt like I was really fortunate to be part of it. For the people that I met, the people and places that I was able to go and see, the things I was able to do. So I always felt very special about it. But it was, like I said, it was a different era then, and it does feel like 25 years